Our January 25th, 2023 Board of Douglas County Commissioners 5:30 business meeting. We want to welcome those of you who are with us here in the old courthouse, and for those folks who are joining us on Zoom. To get us started, I'm going to go over some information about public comment and our meetings. For each action item on our agenda, we'll offer an opportunity for relevant public comment about the topic. We ask that you wait until the agenda item you're here for comes up for discussion. Additionally, near the start of our meeting, we'll invite folks to provide general public comment to the commission, which is a time for addressing issues not on today's agenda, but generally related to county business. Public comment will not be recorded and shared on the county's YouTube site to ensure compliance with YouTube's content policies. To hear public comment, individuals can join us live on Zoom or here in the courthouse. We'll call first on folks who are here in person and then on any online commenters who are with us here tonight. If you're on Zoom, please plan to use the raise your hand function when it comes time and listen for staff to call your name. All comments will be limited to 3 minutes, and we ask everyone to give their full name and Douglas County residence for our meeting minutes. All public comments should be directed to the county and commission, and we reserve the right to mute or remove any speaker who is vulgar, rude, or inappropriate. The public should also know that the comments received by the County Commission during our meetings do not represent the views of Douglas County government. If visual aids are used during the meeting, the presenter will share their screen. Please know that online participants will not be able to view them without a computer, smartphone, or tablet during tonight's meeting. Materials are published online for your reference also. And lastly, a recording of this meeting will be available on our YouTube page and website. Okay, with that, we'll jump into our meeting. We have 11 items on our consent agenda. We'll start with those, then we'll do public comment. And tonight we don't have any regular agenda items. Then we'll move to appointments, Commissioner, Administrator, Miscellaneous. We'll complete our meeting tonight.
Mr. Chair, do you mind moving closer to the mic?
I will get closer to the mic. How about that? All right. Sorry about that. Thank you. So we'll start with our consent agenda. Commissioners, is there any item a commissioner would like to pull off the consent agenda for further discussion? All right, we'll check in the public. Is there anyone here in the public who has a consent agenda item they'd like to have removed for discussion? Seeing none, anyone online, Sarah?
Robin, I'm going to have you check. I'm doing an update. Can you tell us if there's anyone who has their hand raised online?
There is no one with their hand raised. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Okay, I would take a motion for the consent agenda.
Commissioner Reed here. I move to approve consent agenda items 1.1 through 1.11.
I would second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0. We'll move on to general public comment. I know we have one general public comment here in the courthouse. If you want to come up and address the commission. Is there anything added to the regular agenda?
No.
No.
Commissioners.
And for those in the public, this sometimes happens, not a lot, but it does sometimes happen. We do meet every week. And so sometimes it just happens that we don't have any agenda items. It's not a regular occurrence, but we'll move on to appointments. Commissioners, any appointments? I think we talked about some Fair Board last time. Was that right?
Yes, I believe we have a taker for the Lecompton seat on the Douglas County Fair Board, and that would be Billy Kelly. And he had an email of introduction that I think probably went to all of us. I did reach out to him and said that we were planning to make that I was planning to make that nomination, and I would go and do that unless we have any other names to consider.
I think you can go ahead and do that.
Okay. I would like to nominate Billy Kelly for the Lecompton seat of the Douglas County Fair Board.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 And the Grant Township person that we thought we might have for Fair Board is not actually a resident of Douglas County, just a business owner. I mean, a resident of actually not our county, but also a business owner in Grant Township, which doesn't quite meet the requirements. So we'll keep looking.
Pause on that one. Right. I don't think we have any other appointments at this time.
I have another name that I'm floating, but I still need to make some more contact.
Okay. All right. With that, we'll move on to our administrator miscellaneous update. We usually start with Sarah on this.
Thanks, commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity. I did want to mention in our conversations about having can you not hear me? I think, wow, that's surprising. Thanks, commissioners. Just as an update as on how things are going with the TRC. I would say that as I have reported in the past, I meet weekly with Burt Nash staff to continue our review through the materials. Staff is getting close to that completion of those materials and draft documents related to the operating agreement. What I would like to do, based off conversations with Burt Nash and making in your schedule over the next couple of weeks, is plan for a fuller update and conversation on February 8th. And that would be a regular agenda item on the February 8th meeting, where we could report out on deliverables met and what deliverables are still outstanding and that we're working on, and timelines for developing the operating agreement, and then allow some time for well, I envision that conversation initially led by county staff, but allow Burt Nash staff and TRC staff, if they have things to answers or questions or updates to give, they could do that as well. And also have some time for commissioners to answer any additional questions that have sort of come up through this process. So that is the current plan, unless commissioners have any concerns with that.
I don't have any concerns. This Commissioner Kelly, Sarah, it may be a little early for this. I know this meeting is 2 weeks away. Do you know about how many agenda items? I mean, the last time we had it on the agenda, it was on the back half, then it was long. Do you have any sense of that yet?
I don't yet.
Okay.
What I would say is I'll try to continue to manage it appropriately, so that if we do it early, so that we can try to manage those things. I would say, like, right now, I have there's a small item from Eudora related to their TD TIF that's planned for that day, and that's it. So, but lots of things come in at the very last minute.
Yeah.
So please don't report that that's all we have. But I think I would try to put that towards the front, but we will have representatives from Eudora here for that conversation. So depending on if that can move quickly, I might move that item first, and then we could do that. But I certainly don't want to have a long delay through that conversation.
And we usually post our agendas on Fridays for the public, just so that they know, so you can see where that is on the agenda. Every once in a while, we have to add something after Friday, but typically we try not to. Okay, commissioners, any concerns with that schedule? Okay.
Related to my weekly memo is in the packet, commissioners. Some new things that have been added to that. The Forward Cities E3 City Tour dates have been set for that for February, and that is in the information packet. That's one of our ARPA projects funded to help promote a strong entrepreneurial ecosystem. In addition to that, I just want to kind of call attention to kind of your work over the next couple of weeks. Next week, we have a follow-up, a work session on the work that the county commission authorized and discussed with the sheriff last year regarding, are there possibilities to reconfigure the county jail to use space more efficiently, given some of the work that we've done with alternatives to incarceration. So our design team will be here to help present that, as well as the sheriff. After that, on the 8th, which would be the date of we were talking about related to the TRC, we'll have a work session related to our open space plan and working with our sustainability and our zoning codes team, and then our consultant to help us develop an open space plan. So that's on the 8th. And then we have a work session on the 15th related to energy production, specifically how it is evolving and its impacts here on Douglas County. So that's planned for the 15th. The commissioners, I also want to mention some agenda items next week. We have 2 temporary business units related to a SODAR unit and a Met Tower unit. So I'm anticipating that being a pretty full agenda with some discussion about that. And then on the 15th, we'll be talking about the TRC on the 8th. On the 15th, I have scheduled a human services program update with Gabby Sprague and her team. And we issued a press release, I think today, related to some changes to that program. But we'll get a full update from that team then, and an update with DECA on the availability of naloxone or Narcan in our community. So I'm working on trying to get that prepared for the 15th. And I have work sessions right now, commissioners, scheduled for every meeting through March. We'll be taking the 15th off because there are 5 Wednesdays in March, but your reprieve from 4 o'clock work sessions is probably now officially over. With that, commissioners, I stand for any questions you have.
Commissioners, any questions? Don't think we have any, Sarah. Commissioners, any miscellaneous items you have or meetings coming up on your calendars?
I have, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, to follow up on the Forward Cities event, which is about 3 weeks out, maybe a little less. I know that invitations have gone out to some specific folks from our e-community primarily. But so there are several events over the course of those 2 days, but there's a town hall that is specifically open to the public. We have a plan for sort of pushing out some communication about that event and inviting people at large to attend.
Yeah, I know Carrie Britt, our communication specialist, has been working with Jill on those events. So, but I'll verify and try to see if
And
we
then-
can add that to the memo.
Assuming other commissioners might attend some of those to be sure that it's publicly noticed.
Yep.
I don't have anything else.
I have a miscellaneous item and I kind of very quickly put some slides together to send to Sarah so that instead of waving my arms and talking about maps, we could actually look at them together. So the county did send me to the Kansas Office of Broadband Development Summit on broadband and opportunities. And there did not line out exactly next steps for communities, but one of the things that they're doing is working through this FCC broadband map, which the Federal Communications Corporation has put out, and it says that this is Douglas County, 100% covered. We know that that is not actually true. The data, but this is the process we're going through now is that people individually go to zoom in on your own address and then you challenge the map. So I've kind of pushed back to the Kansas Office for Broadband Development that we need to be elevating other sources of data besides this, because if this is what they're using to designate where federal funds will be available, it basically shows that the entire United States is 100% covered except for a few places in the Mountain West. So it's not a very useful tool. It's based on, to my knowledge, it's based on what companies self-report as their maximum available within a territory that they claim, but that's not necessarily related to internet service that is actually available to that location, as many of us in and around Douglas County will testify. So if you'll hit the next map there, Sarah.
Is that one?
Yes, so this is data collected by the Kansas KU Institute for Society and Policy Research. This is a little bit more true, I think, to people's experiences in the state of Kansas. I have asked if they can provide the data strictly for Douglas County, and so we're working to see if that is available. They did a fairly lengthy survey of sending out it was a button you could push to actually test your speed at that moment, and they captured that data for this map. So I can see that some of the text is cut off at the bottom. Basically, green is reliable, high-speed internet. Blue is generally reliable, that the average speeds are 100 megabytes per second or higher, and that is the standard that Kansas is looking for to provide and call it, high-speed broadband, useful internet. The yellow is that it's advertised as having that speed, but it may or may not be available, so that the yellow kind of take that bit of a grain of salt. And then the white areas do not rise to that level. If you would hit the next slide. This is Douglas County. As I said, I'm hoping that we can get a better map with that data. So I just zoomed in so we could see what it is we're talking about. The southwest part of the county is kind of the largest area of concern geographically. There's the city of Baldwin has actually done quite a bit to put in fiber, and Eudora, I think, may have some pretty good coverage, but I need to dial in a little bit more on those. And if you'd hit the next slide. This is a different data set. This is a GIS data set that's available through the National Communications and Information Administration. So if our GIS department wants to get a hold of this, this is by census tract. So it does not dial into the level of detail that we really need to start talking with providers. But in general, the green is a fairly reliable high-speed internet. The gray is not enough data. I'm not sure. So there's some data available as you click on each of these, and I'll get into that in a second. The red is the area of concern where there's generally not high-speed internet available. If you'll hit the next slide, this is the information that's available as you click on each of these census tracts. So just looking at the red one, the very bottom piece of data there, the median speed test is 22 and 5, which the 22 is download speed and the 5 is upload speed. And the standards for high-speed internet would be 120. So 100 download speed and 20 megabytes per second upload speed. So that's what we're shooting for, and we're not there yet. Most of the other census tracts show that that is at least somewhat available. The other number I draw your attention to is the 10% of households without internet access. As I clicked through some of the other census tracts that were available in this data, especially looking at the gray ones, like, well, why, what's flagging that? And the only one that I found that was higher than that for a percentage of household without internet access was one of the census tracts in Lawrence, about near where Colony Woods is, so south of 23rd Street, kind of central center part of town. And that it showed that internet was highly available and high-speed internet available. So my assumption would be then perhaps that the adoption rate is low because of price. So there are also some federal programs for people who are price constrained to get some help with either an internet cost or a phone cost, depending on those. And it's about $30 a month for people who income qualify. If anybody's curious, it is the ACP, the Affordable Connectivity Program. So I've started to put that out with the nonprofits that I work with, is that if we're collecting data income-wise to income qualify people for housing, maybe we can also suggest that we can sign them up for this at the same time with not a lot of extra work. There's also a one-time $100 off of a device, I think, if you qualify for that program. So really dialing in to see what's happening in Lawrence, what's happening outside of Lawrence. We don't have access to it yet, but the city of Lawrence did authorize a study of broadband internet access and speeds within the city, and that's not yet available, but it should be pretty soon. And so that will give us some information. That's why I didn't dial in too much on this data, because it's pretty broad, but I think we'll have more information coming soon. So I'm just hoping that we start to pull together whoever needs to be in that conversation. I think early conversations in the county were between our IT department and the city's IT department. Had turnover in both departments since then, and just there's federal money available, but it's not easy and not defined yet really how to access it. So at the course of the summit, met people that I can start to poke and start to ask those questions. How do we position ourselves as a community? And my guess would be the first thing is to find out what it is we have and what it is that we need. Last thing, the Kansas Office for Broadband Development is putting together a tour, a statewide tour, listening tour, and I took the liberty of putting us on the map to say, yes, we would love to have you come to Douglas County and talk about our needs and how we can meet those. So thank you, everybody. Does anybody have any questions about that conference? All right, thanks.
Just one thing for the commission and for the public, MPO, that's our Metropolitan Planning Organization policy. So this is the Transportation Board. Our new, it's called T2050. So we've been operating under T2040, which is our current transportation plan. And that is actually worked into our comprehensive plan. T2050 is now out for its 30-day comment period. There's a lot of really great maps there. I mean, it sounds like I'm joking. It is really some good stuff to look at to understand population density, transportation justice issues and things like that. But Sarah, if we could get that out on the county's website for public review, we're in that 30-day period. And commissioners, I encourage you, if you have any thoughts on that, there's a way to share your feedback with the MPO, and that's out right now.
Mr. Chair, do you off the top of your head know what that comment period is or when that ends? I was looking it up.
So it started on
Ooh,
Thursday last week. So 30 days from that Thursday.
I think I've got it. So
Yeah.
through February 22nd.
Yeah,
We can definitely do that.
thank you. Any other miscellaneous items, commissioners? All right. There's nothing else. We are adjourned.